Hey everyone, we're going to have a great time this week with our message of the week. Here's an unfortunate thing I see occurring in sales today, whether you're a salesperson or a sales leader. Y'all are operating in what I call a microwaved sales society. Y'all want instant results. I totally get it. Y'all want to see results. But how much effort, how much work, and the word for this week is how much discipline are you willing to put in to that work? Because discipline, radical amounts of discipline, is going to drive real growth, real sustainable growth. So let's take Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11, and I want to apply it to our message this week because the verse reads, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it." Let's key back in the first sentence. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Whether you're in sales, whether you're in leadership, whether you're in executive leadership, I want us to all stop for a moment and think. What does discipline mean to me? If I brought radical amounts of discipline to the forefront, what would happen? But I do know this, the uncomfortable moments, right, where discipline is needed, this is where it's needed at, folks. It's needed with that tough conversation with a client. It's needed with what I call the accountability conversations. Discipline's needed with the early mornings of consistent prospecting. Discipline is needed with self-reflection, especially in areas where you know you need to improve. Here's what I know, and I think we can all get agreement on this. Discipline rarely feels pleasant. But in selling from the heart fashion, the harvest always follows the habits. What seeds of discipline are you planting? Now, if we look at the trust formula, it's quite simple. Discipline is about consistently showing up. And by the way, you're responsible for how you show up. So when I start thinking of discipline as it relates to the trust formula, this is what I'm thinking about. How disciplined are you in building authentic relationships, bringing meaningful value, creating that inspirational experience? And the D word, bringing disciplined habits to the forefront. I'm here to tell you this, everybody. Disciplined habits is the glue. It's the foundational strength. That's what's going to propel you forward and sustain long-term growth. When I think of disciplined habits, this is what I think about. I think about you making the call when you don't feel like it. I think of you prospecting when you don't feel like it. I think of you following through to the commitments you've made to yourself when no one's watching. When I think of discipline, it's preparing deeply. When I think of discipline, it's holding yourself to a higher standard of integrity. Integrity is always going to keep you at the top, especially in a world full of empty suits. And yes, I know discipline in the moments are painful. It might hurt, but the outcome is massively, massively powerful. In a world where we're swimming for trust, discipline builds trust, and trust is going to drive revenue and profitability. So this week, I want you to think about discipline. Where does it sit? How would you define it? What does it look like? Because growth, trust, and revenue, it's not accidental. It's trained. How are you training yourself around discipline? And that's what I want you to all think about this week. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me on these weekly messages. Hopefully you grab a little bit of nuggets that will propel you to a successful week, because I do know this. Your clients and your future clients, they're starving for, they're desperate for a sales professional who sells from the heart, as opposed to one who's only an empty suit. Have an amazing week.